Hi folks, welcome to your mwis Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Once again, we have some rather turbulent weather conditions in the forecast through this weekend, and it's staying generally changeable for the week ahead as well as Atlantic westerlies continue, and that will bring a series of weather systems through. Most of the centres of low pressure will pass to the north of Scotland, but we'll see some frequent precipitation, and as temperatures vary, that will be a mixture of snow, rain or hail from day to day. The mildest of values coming early in the new week, and it looks colder again after midweek. We'll start with the detail for the weekend and we'll look at the freezing level first of all. This is the height we find 0 Celsius in metres and gives us an indication for frozen terrain as well. Now early on Saturday we're around 400 to 600 metres and maybe even some frost and ice lower down in places in the Highlands, a touch higher with that 0 Celsius level for Wales. Now as we see some milder air temporarily come in from the west, that freezing level will lift for a time, even to around 800 metres or so across the Highlands, lifting to around 1,000 metres or above across England and Wales, so near or just above freezing point across the higher tops here, but a lowering of temperature again from the northwest as we go through into the afternoon. We'll see a rapid drop of freezing level across the Highlands back towards around 400 metres across many northern areas. And that lowering of freezing level will continue as we head overnight and into Sunday. We've got a cold front going southwards, and we'll find that much terrain across northern Britain then is frozen for Sunday. The freezing level across the Lake District around 500 or 600 metres, I suspect. For Scotland it looks lower, touch higher around some western coasts, and a lowering as well across Wales to around 800 metres or so in the north. By later in the day it could be a touch lower. The weather maps look like this. Here's Saturday, and that's the warm sector briefly going through, lifting those temperatures. The cold front then, as mentioned, responsible for that drop as we head through the daytime across Scotland. We've got extensive precipitation across much of Scotland and northern England, and that will advance further southwards as well. A very windy day, extensive gales or severe gales across many hills and mountains, some powerful gusts in places as well. Possibly a slight moderating of the strongest winds across the Highlands as the day goes on, but still staying very windy. To look through the sequence of weather hour by hour, and this shows you the mixture of rain and snow, where there's some shading on the colours. That's where we've got the snow forecast by this particular model, and it starts off as that across the Highlands, turning wetter gradually from the west up to higher slopes. That transition to rain already on the go near the west coast first thing in the morning. Take a bit longer for that to arrive into the Cairngorms, and on the high tops it more or less stays as snow because we don't get above freezing point, and that snow level will come down again as we go through the day then across the Highlands. Some rain across northern England, increasingly heavy and persistent, and that wetter story will advance further into the Peak District and across Wales, especially onwards into the afternoon, with patchier rain at first but becoming more persistent and heavier rain onwards through the afternoon, and by the end of the afternoon even South Wales seeing some steadier rain. Those fronts then will pile their way southwards and eastwards as we go overnight and into Sunday, so some rain for much of England and Wales, some showers of snow and hail coming into the western side of Scotland. And as we go into Sunday daytime, early rain across England and Wales will tend to break up and move away southwards. It'll take maybe a few hours across mid and south Wales to get rid of that, but it will tend to break, and then some showers will follow. It stays broadly showery across Scotland in the west, where snow and hail will come in frequently to be almost constant at times, and showers also frequent across the lakes and the western side of the Pennines. Showers will pass eastwards, but fewer of them generally across more eastern hills, but still expect some periods of snow and hail and whiteout even into the Cairngorms through the daytime. There's Sunday's map, and again a very windy day, gales or severe gales across the mountains, sudden squally gusts as showers come through, some very difficult conditions once again across the higher terrain. Temperatures then are well below freezing point across the mountains. Onwards into the new week, and Monday we'll see a lift of temperature developing again from the west as the next warm front comes in, as the Atlantic weather sequence continues, and that will see some snow initially on the forward side of that front, turning wetter again to higher levels as that milder air arrives. Heaviest of the rain across western Scotland, and some patchy rain and drizzle and low cloud across England and Wales. Not too much of that toward the eastern side of the Pennines. Again, it looks windy with the risk of gales, even severe gales across the mountains. Strongest winds look to be focused across northwest Scotland. So those temperatures will fluctuate as we go into the start of next week, then starting off cold on Monday morning, but that rise will happen as we go through the daytime, lifting above freezing then even up to the high tops in Scotland. Milder air will stay around for longer across England and Wales, but the next cold front coming down from the north by Monday night will see northern Scotland soon get back below freezing, above around 600 to 800 metres. And for Tuesday, a bit of a north-south split then across Britain, where England and Wales will be in the milder air, Scotland is in the cooler air, and the northern mountains sub-zero, again above around 600 to 800 metres. Just to roll the story on with those temperatures into the middle of the week, the colder air eventually comes back down from the northwest from many places, then increasingly so as you go through Wednesday into Thursday. Timing is uncertain just how quickly it moves into England and Wales, but as we go into the second half of the week, it does look as though colder air is back in charge across most of the country, with much mountain terrain frozen and some icy conditions and some further accumulations of snow even down across the Welsh mountains. Just to show you those charts then, that's Tuesday. There's that boundary between the north and the south, the milder air across England and Wales, the chillier air to the north, some rain and drizzle then associated with that front somewhere across central Scotland, and some rather damp and grey conditions for western hills in England and Wales. More showery conditions to the north of the front in Scotland, some snow and some hail maybe around, focused in the west, some brighter conditions around the Cairngorms. It stays a rather blustery wind, the risk of some gales still in places across the hills, maybe not quite as strong as some previous days, but still be aware of a significant wind chill. And then by Wednesday, that cold front has gone further southwards, the chillier air extending in from the north. Showers then continue to rattle into western Scotland once more, with some snow and some hail frequent in the west, and a windy picture with the threat of gales across the tops. It looks as though there's some lighter winds for a time for England and Wales. Could be a bit gusty though around that front as it passes southwards, with some rain for a time, some brighter skies following. Again, the timing of this is somewhat uncertain, so just watch your detail by the middle of the week, but it might just be that northern England gets away with a half-decent day. And looking towards the end of the week, it looks as though high pressure starts to nudge in from the southwest. That just trying to settle things down for a day or so, with quieter conditions in the forecast. Now, some chilly air will be around for a while with that northwesterly flow initially, so some frost overnight in the valleys, touch of ice as well maybe around. It looks as though the wind speed will drop lighter for a spell as well, but the high doesn't entirely get over the top of the country. It's centred more toward the south, and that would allow some further fronts to just roll around from the Atlantic on west to southwesterly winds. So some rain preceded by some snow before temperatures probably rise next weekend above freezing point towards the higher mountains. Most precipitation looks to be focused next weekend around western Scotland. Occasional bits and pieces maybe further south across western hills, but you're a bit nearer to higher pressure for England and Wales, so mostly small amounts. So some better days maybe just in there in the longer range, but not yet fully settling down. Stay up to date then with the latest local forecasts every day on the mwis website. That's your Friday planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.